Fantastic. And I do believe that we are recording. Does it say recording, everybody?
Yep, indeed.
Well, hello, everybody watching the recording and everybody who is here live. Once again, it is Andrew Sim and Wendy Lloyd Curley coming to you with the BNI Diamond Growth Program. And this is week 3 of our 4-week series. And to those of you who are here live, you're going to get a heap out of this because we're going to do a few little breakout rooms today. And that might make a little bit of a boring recording, but that's why you should be here live. So come live to week 4, because I'm sure we're probably going to use some breakout rooms then as well. Andrew, if you could keep an eye on that waiting room for me a little bit, that would be
with pleasure.
amazing.
I'm on it. Here comes Alison.
All right, fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got in here the chapter revival. That's really what we're here to do. We're not talking about member culture. We're talking about chapter culture. And we're giving you some hints and tips that will help your chapter have an amazing culture that's going to want to draw people in. So let's just remind ourselves why we're here and what the purpose of this entire series is. It's a program that helps bring about change to get chapters back to their desired state. And remember, desired state is 25 members or more. And so we want to be attractive to those members. So we want to ask our chapter members, where do you want to be? Do you want to be in a chapter that's thriving or surviving? You want to be in one that's thriving, I'm sure. I'm sure none of you want to be in one that only has a few people helping out and a lot of lethargy in the room, and people who only really participate as riders, not as camels. Now, that's a funny story, because when Andrew once told me that, I didn't know what he meant. Andrew, would you care to explain?
I would love to explain the theory of camels and camel riders. So we all know camels have a hump, right? Now, what goes in a hump? Water. So they carry the water for themselves to keep them going on and on and on. But anybody on the camel, therefore, is the rider. So they're not doing the hard work by carrying the extra water as well. And that's the analogy for a BNI chapter. If you've got those on the chapter that are doing all the hard lifting and bringing along visitors all the time, and then the other ones that arrive just before the meeting starts, they don't bring a visitor, they run away straight away after the meeting, and they hardly say boo during, they're your camel riders. You want your camels, everybody to be a camel.
Yeah. And if you have too many riders on one camel, the camels collapse. And that's what some of the leadership teams might feel sometimes, is that they've got a lot of people that they are carrying, and it starts to get hard. We want all of our chapters to be thriving, and we want divide and conquer. If we can divide into all of the things that this chapter operations manual, which I keep right by my desk, if everybody is supporting, then nobody is overburdened, right? Nobody's overburdened. So that's where you want to be, in a thriving chapter. We want to be attractive to new investors, new people. So visitors come in and they say, wow, this is a great place to be. Your culture's good. Your results are good. It feels organized. This makes a lot of sense to me. And I can see that this is a great place to build my business. Something that people want to be part of. And we're giving you the education and the conversations about the chapter culture that will help get your chapter back on track, so that you can get to 25 and more members in your group. And that's what this is all about. This is not a punishment to be part of this Diamond program. It's actually a gift. We want to give this to you. So that's what the Diamond Growth Program is. And I hope that you've experienced some good things with that. We asked what makes BNI special in week 1 and week 2. Who knows the answer? Who knows the answer? Allison does. What's the answer, Allison? Did she drop off?
No, yeah, I think she's had a connection doobie.
I just pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry.
I thought you went away.
I was too excited. Commitment.
That's exactly right. It's the commitment of our members. And it starts with the application process, doesn't it? And it goes into the new training, and it keeps going. So commitment's what makes us special. I'd love to do a little bit of a recap. So I hope that all of you will participate in this. Only one answer per person, and Allison's already answered. So, but week 1, we went through 2 topics. We went through the chapter environment and we went through chapter education. Has anybody made any changes or noticed anything different in their chapter, good or bad, about the chapter environment since going through that training? Let's talk about chapter environment for a minute. Has anybody made any changes or done anything differently?
We're doing something differently at BNI Business Express.
Oh,
Yeah.
share, please, Mark.
We are going to the front of the room for the 45 seconds.
Nice.
And
Great idea.
it actually makes people look at different people in the room and get a little bit more coordinated. And we've only done it once, but it worked really well.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that. That's a great little change, and it'll flow really well as well. Yeah.
That gives people a few steps on their counters as well. There you go. Exercise in the meeting.
I love it. Does anybody else have a change in the chapter environment that they'd like to share?
Yeah, we changed the configuration of the room.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good one, Alan.
A lot more open.
You're now
using-
lengthways, aren't you? You're running along the room rather than across it from before.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So before, I used to have to go there early and take some patching gear so we could operate monitors on the other side of the room, whereas now we're using a big screen, and so people can actually present and look forward rather than looking back at the screen to read their content.
That
that's
is
great.
awesome. I love it. I hope that people don't have to read their content too much. We're going to get people to practice that a little bit. We'll talk about that today. All right, fabulous. Thank you, guys. Now you two have spoken. How about any changes or good or bad things that you've noticed about your chapter education and the culture around your chapter education? Anybody have something to add about that since we've talked about it?
I think the only thing off the top of my head for BNI Beaches is we're not thanking the person who spoke now, who did their weekly presentation. Sorry, we're not thanking them during the I have parts where we were before.
That's a bit of a filler, isn't it, Finn? It's pretty easy for people to stand up and say, oh, I'd really like to thank Finlay for that great presentation. That was amazing, and I really recommend him. And you sit down, and it's a fluffy thing, isn't it? Because it avoids you from having to report referrals and thank you for closed business, visitors that you brought, and testimonials that are real. So it's important that the treasurer or the president, either one, thanks the speaker on behalf of the chapter. And that way everybody can actually really add value in the I have moment. We're going to talk about the I have moment today as well. So I don't know if that's what you meant, Finlay, but I love that. And I think that I'm not saying that you in the room, nobody will want to give a testimonial to the speaker. There are a few people who will have valuable, positive, great things to say about the speaker, and it will be important. But if everybody does it, it's very fluffy and isn't necessarily going to add value to the experience of that visitor.
The visitors get bored, don't they? They get bored if they keep hearing the same stuff over again without substance.
Yeah, it makes you think about your testimonial a little bit more as well, rather than just sort of doing like a default option.
It does.
Yeah. I think too, we've tried to, in our I have, we keep forgetting we get so familiar that we forget the business name or the actual business. And I think only Andrew Blake did it this morning. And I had sent out a note to everyone before the meeting, but we all forgot. And perhaps with the speaker, everyone does want to say thank you and doesn't want to be rude, but perhaps if I stood up and said, I think I speak for everyone in the room when we thank you for your presentation and thought it was really terrific. And, if you'd like to ask more questions after the meeting, please, contact.
Look, one of the funniest things, Lucy, and you'll ever see is you're in president seat and you do exactly that, and then you start having the I haves. And somebody decides to start thanking the speaker again, and suddenly the bell goes ringing, ding, 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 and everybody's going, "What on earth?" Never happens again. Never happens again.
Oh, very funny. All right, well, that's wonderful. So yeah, and that ongoing education. So Lucienne, you wrote an email to everybody. Not everybody reads our emails, do they? I know not everybody. But a little bit of education, it needs repeating and it bears repeating. And Andrew's point there is valid. You know, and I said this to Lucienne today, and everybody's experienced this. If you allow one person to speak longer than 10 minutes in a 10-minute presentation, it changes the culture of the group. And so, you know, the reason that we have timing is so that the presidents can make sure to manage everybody's time. Really, it really is there for that. We need to keep that going. Alex and Brad have a comment. I'd love to hear it. Alex first.
Yes, so about the changes that we are implementing, our visitor hosts are having a meeting next week, tomorrow, to talk about what we can do by implementing what we learn here, to make the visitors feel welcome.
I absolutely love it. So that's part of the visitor experience getting better. Fantastic. And what about you, Brad? Any comment there?
I'm just replying to the chapter education piece. So we're not up and running yet in Inspire. My reflection, though, is that it's a bit hit and miss, I think, the education. I think sometimes it's a cross between an update purely on the business that someone has, and other times it's a bit more educational. I think there's an opportunity to, at the end of it, rather than just move straight into something else, go around the room and pull out some key themes, some key learnings from it, and make it a bit more intentional. I think there's an opportunity there that we're missing at the moment.
100%.
Really good. You know, the education coordinators have 3 to 5 minutes to deliver in a real meeting, Brad. So in a proper agenda, they have 3 to 5 minutes to deliver something. And at the end of that, if they've still got a little bit of time, perhaps asking for people to repeat back what they said and bring those takeaways would be a smart thing to do. If they've used their entire allotment, they should stop. But if they build 3 minutes of prezzo combined with, you know, a conversation about what's your biggest takeaway from what I've just said, I love that. I do. Alan Skinner. Oh, you're muted. You muted yourself when you gave your snake away. Yes, it was a real snake.
And it was the one.
Looked like it, that's for sure.
So what I've implemented in our chapter is when the presentation has taken place, and there's the door prize, we call it the door prize, you know, a gift to hand out to someone who's contributed to the traffic light on that week. And I actually take note of people and what they say during their during their stand up.
Yeah.
And their 60 seconds, and I go through about 5 of them, and I make sure I get people that have gone overtime, and I make sure that I say, but you had a great thing, but you went overtime, so you're disqualified. And it's amazing how quickly that brought everyone into line to being on time.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's a super thing to do as the person choosing the sharpshooter or as someone who's doing that. I love it. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's enough time for going through the overview. I hope you guys are getting good takeaways and observing the chapter process. And if you observe something, the time to bring it up is probably not in the meeting or even when the visitors leave for their visitor orientation. The time to bring it up is to talk to the president afterwards and say, listen, I think we can sharpen this. When we have our chapter success meeting, can we talk about this element? Can we sharpen this bit up? Yeah. And, you know, we talked about it in the Diamond program. I think it's something we can make an improvement on. I'd love for us to work on it. Because if you talk about it in the meeting while the visitors are away, you may get into a conversation about things and not be able to do the networking that you need to do at the end. It's not part of the agenda.
You want to be ready to receive the visitors back, don't you? You want to be, the visitors are only gone for a couple of ticks, so you want to be ready to embrace them and really network and include them.
Yeah, it worked really well this morning at BNI Pittwater Professionals. We finished both at about the same time. And I was able to say to the visitors that were there, and all 4 visitors are qualified candidates for membership. And I basically said, you know what, you guys, thank you so much for your attention. If you've got any more networking to do, the whole chapter is right there for you. And so we let them go. All right, let's go on into what we're doing today. Week 3 is about the referral process and the ask. We've actually switched the order of these from our previous meetings, because when Andrew and I were putting together the Prezzo, we decided that we wanted to talk about referrals first and then the ask. So, and then next week, we're going to talk about power teams and what's next. All right, so let's go ahead. Topic 5, the referral process. So are you referable, and are you giving good referrals? Well, let's ask a question. Leads versus referrals. Who would like to take a stab at describing the difference between a lead and a referral? Jenny?
I was going to put my hand up. Yes.
There you were.
Yeah. You saw me on mute, didn't
I
you?
did.
So for me, a lead is simply just somebody saying, hey, I gave your card to somebody, putting it through the system, and away it goes. A referral, however, is accompanied by an email introduction together with their phone number and my phone number. It could also be a catch up for a meal, or a drink or something with the person to actually introduce them. That to me is a real referral rather than just a lead. Leave it to you, or actually leave it to them to get in touch with you. It's a bit fluffy.
Nice. All right, good. Anybody else have a description of difference between a lead and a referral? Different at all? Lucienne?
I think what she said is absolutely accurate, but I have a lot of leads that turn into referrals, and it makes me connect twice with the member. And I say, look, I've got this. It may turn into be a referral. If they don't reach out to you next week, let me know at the meeting and I'll follow up. And then sometimes if I follow up, it then turns into a referral. So, I don't discount the leads because sometimes it's not appropriate to do that email introduction, or but you know that it's going to be a really good referral. So, and then you get to be with the member, talk to the member at least twice about the person, and everyone's on the same page.
I love it. I love it. Anybody else want to add something before I give you the answers on the screen? Andrew?
I was going to say the one that people often forget: how many people are involved in a lead and how many people are involved in a referral?
That's a great question. How many people do you think are involved in a lead?
You and the person you're talking to. Yeah. But in a referral, does that make sense?
So there's a lead where this person says, maybe they stand up in a weekly presentation and they say, I'm looking for mortgage brokers. And this person says, I know a mortgage broker. They think that. They think, I know a mortgage broker. And then they tell the person in the chapter, I know a mortgage broker. Here's their name. Yeah? Where's the mortgage broker in the picture? Nowhere.
They're not even a thought bubble.
The mortgage broker needs to be brought in. The 3 people are part of a referral. Unless you're referring yourself, there are always 3 people involved in a referral. Always. So what it means is, in the BNI context, it is someone who expects and is been qualified for needing the service of the member. So if this is the member and this is the person who's referring, this person has the need. You've got this person needs this person's service, and you've identified it. So you need to make sure that this person knows about the supplier, understands what the supplier can provide, and is either expecting a call from the provider or has been introduced to the provider in a good way, like what Jenny and Lucienne just said. There is see the conversations rather than thoughts. And qualified means that when you're listening to what this person needs, you're able to maybe tell some stories about what this person does and say, would you like an introduction to them? Because I know them personally, And I know they're very busy, but I bet I could get you an appointment. Yeah? How amazing would that be? Now, Lucienne's absolutely right. Leads are great. I have an idea about someone, I'd like to turn it into a referral. That's great. Alex.
Oh, I just sometimes in some situation or scenarios, may not be able to do the referral. For example, in a Facebook community or your neighborhood community, someone was looking for a plumber, and so anyone to refer, and so you actually don't have that neighbor's phone number or details, but you can actually put chapter's plumber's information in their community forums. And that actually increased the visibilities because not just one neighbor saw that, and multiple neighbors saw that information, and that can turn into multiple referrals, but you just don't know where the referral is coming from. That's all.
100%. And social media, we've had these trainings sometimes in different chapters, and I'm happy to share it with others. I'm going to get back to what Alex just said. Who gets to decide what a referral is? Like what kind of referrals they want? Who gets to decide what's a referral and what's not? Jenny, I've just tagged someone in Facebook for you. Is that a referral? No. So Jenny says no. A mortgage broker will say yes in a heartbeat. Mortgage broker will go, yep, anytime you do it, that's a referral for me. It depends on the receiver. If you think it is, and you have to, so Alex, that's great, and you can do that. Maybe you have a rule in your chapter that the first person who tags them is the first person in line to turn it into a referral if the person gets back to them. But it's not really a referral yet. You're right, it's a lead. But if it's all in the eye of the receiver. Mark, you were going to say something. I'd love to hear it.
I was just going to say it was whoever receives it. Like for me, a contact name's enough. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But for other people, they want the qualified referral where people have done the introduction and made sure there's some, and even organised a meeting depending upon what they do. And that's the beauty of what we do. We have those one-to-ones. We talk to each other, and we work out how we can best service each other as
100%.
each other's marketing team.
It does depend how well you know each other, definitely. Yeah.
You know, this is not part of this presentation, but I'd like to take you guys through some training that you should have already received in your MSP or your member success program, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. I think it's really powerful. And I'm not going to try and find this slide for it. I'm just going to tell you. Alan. Oh, you're muted again.
Look, I just wanted to bring something into the mix because it was quite unique, actually. I gave a referral today to our accountant, and I had to organize a translator.
Oh,
so
wow.
That third person, and I explained to the accountant exactly that he has to go through this person, and then we'll make a three-way call and how it's all to work. But yeah, I thought I'll share that with you because it is quite unique.
Thank you. Yeah, it is unique. It is unique. And it's you've gone over and above because you're working to get that referral to be real. All right, so let me share with you. Do you know about the temperature gauge of how hot is this referral when you're filling out your referral form? I just would like to remind you of this, especially just all of you who are watching this. Just remember this, because you might wonder, well, I'm not sure how hot the referral is. You always know how hot the referral is because you're not asking how hot the opportunity is. That is not what we're asking. It's how hot is the referral. And here's the thing. You are the only one in charge of that. So let's start at level 1. Level 1 is what Alex was just talking about. Maybe you find a Facebook post. Do they need a plumber? You tag the plumber. You say that they do great services and you've heard nothing but good things about them. you make it with a testimonial on top of it or whatever, but it's just level one. You haven't really talked to both people, and that's level one. Or maybe you just send an email with a name. Yeah, you just do something really quickly. Level two is where you actually do an email introduction between the two. You say, you know what, Jessica, you need a plumber, and John, you're a plumber. There you go. All right. Level three is where you qualified the referral. So, Jessica, you need a plumber, and I know that what you need is this service done. I just saw an amazing presentation by John, and John's going to be able to provide you with that service, and I've seen the results, and I'm positive. So you actually know more about the situation, so you're able to really make the connection better. Okay. I always try for level threes. That's my minimum standard, personally. That's what I try for. Do I ever give ones and twos? Yes. But I really work on a 3. How can I make that a 4? Does anybody know how I can make that a 4? Level 4?
Or you arrange a coffee catch up with 3 of you?
That's a level 5. That's
Oh.
fantastic. That's the best one.
That's the
level
ultimate.
5.
Yeah.
What do you think level 4 would be? Somewhere between that great introduction and the 3 of you meeting in person.
Would it be like a call?
Call couldn't happen at both times. Call could happen at both. It's getting the 2 of them together without you. That's level 4. Level 4s and level 5s are really powerful. Andrew keeps telling me that we got to go to lunch with that client, got to go to lunch with. Isn't a meeting of the minds amazing? And you can get level 5 by inviting these 3 people that are standing here. Get those 3 people to a BNI meeting together. You've got a level 5 referral right there. It's beautiful. If you know someone needs this service, bring them to a meeting, and you'll be getting a level 5 referral opportunity conversation during the open networking, and it will shine. La la.
It's easy to forget on the receiving end how important a 3, 4, 5 level referral is. To have somebody ring you and say, hey, I've got somebody that can assist with your issue is just such a rewarding thing, and you really feel valued.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know that that's an added bonus for being here. There you go. You've got an added bonus. You don't ever have to guess at what level the referral is, what heat level is. It's up to you. And if you're putting one in and it's a level 2, ask yourself, how could I make this a level 3? I wonder what else I need to know in order to lift it up and make it more qualified and really make sure that the connection's the right one. And if it's level 3, why not try and organize the 2 of them to get together? And if it's the 2 of them getting together and you think that you could help be the glue, why not make it level 5? You won't always need a level 5. As Mark said, he's very happy to get the name and the number and make the call himself. And that's perfectly fine. So it's in the eye of the receiver, but the strength is up to you. I love that. When I learned that, I was very happy. So we know that the best way to find good referrals is to understand the person and to know, like, and trust them. Knowing and liking them comes very much from the gains exchange, you guys, very much. So in the gains exchange, I just want to make sure you know this. The G stands for goals. Those are personal and professional goals. You share those with each other. The accomplishments, you share the things in person and in business that are your accomplishments. And, these are stories that we can tell each other. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the accomplishments that you've had that make you a good business for me to refer. I want to brag about you when I'm recommending you. I want to be able to say, you won't believe this, but this person not only won an award in this, but he shared with me the benefits that his clients got from this, and they got a 35% increase in their revenues or in their return on investment or whatever. You want to be able to brag about the people when you're not with them. So it's my job to tell you how great I am. And sometimes that feels a bit awkward. Feels a bit awkward to talk about how great you are. But I'm giving you information about how great I am so that you can know that and tell others. So you're being generous by doing it. So really think about the things you do well and share that with people. And when you're receiving that information, don't cut them up like a tall poppy. Write it down and be excited for them and be proud of those accomplishments for them and say, that's a story I can use. Yeah. So don't make people feel silly about saying, okay, I won this award and I've done this and I've done that. And don't say, oh, well, hoity toity. No, this is good. This is great stuff. The interests that you have, this might be where you start your conversations. What do you like to do besides work? How do you enjoy your family and where do you go? What do you like to travel? What do you do? Interests are what bring us and bond us together. So this is about the knowing and the liking. So interrogate that a little bit and find out more about each other. The networks that you have. Some people in BNI answer the question on the application form, are you part of any other networks? And the answer is no. But you are. All of you are. All of you have more networks than BNI. You're just thinking about actual memberships that you pay for. Don't worry about whether you pay for them or not. Think about the networks you're part of. Yes, I'm on a soccer team. Yes, I am part of a men's table. Yes, I'm part of, I go to the pub all the time, same pub all the time. And I do that. So that's one of my networks, by the way. If you need a pub network, just call Wendy. But I take cooking classes or I'm part of whatever. You really can use that. Is my phone still ringing? Yes, it is. Goodbye. And then last but not least is skills, sharing the skills that you have, not just the skills in your business, but maybe something interesting, one of your interests might be gardening, but one of your skills might be that you can splice citrus plants into each other and make a fruit salad tree where I'm making stuff up. You've got to just have some fun with this. And the gains exchange is about exchanging information to get to know each other. So that's where it starts. So let's say that Alex is a new member. She's meeting with Brad. Alex and Brad talk to each other. Alex shares her gains information with Brad. Brad says, wow, that's great. We've run out of time. Let's book another one. And I'll then give my information to you. And then they book another one. And a few weeks later, there they are together. They've done their gains exchange. What's next? Well, if Alex and Brad have similar target markets and do similar, have similar, but non-competing things that they do. And by the way, they both do business coaching, so it probably wasn't the right people to pick, but let's just go with the flow and keep it up. So now they want to meet because they probably have the similar target market and they'd like to see how they can work together. What's the next step? Well, Alex and Brad need to learn about their target markets better. And we're going to talk about what people are planning to do, what people are bragging about, and what they're complaining about. Now, who's talking? Alex is talking to her clients, let's say. Alex is talking to her clients and she's going through a structured thing that she does with them during her appointments. And they are talking about a wedding coming up that their daughter has just been proposed to, and they're super excited because there's a wedding to plan for. They are planning on being a grandmother. They're planning on being a mother of the bride. They're planning on all these things. Who is that going to be good for in your chapters or in your network? Alex now has the opportunity, by listening to what this lady's planning on doing, she now has the opportunity to find out more about the needs of the client, the potential client. It's already her client. She's already got a relationship with him. Can she introduce people she knows to support the upcoming event? And the answer is yes. What about bragging? So let's use Jenny and Allison for fun. So Jenny and Allison are talking to each other. They've done their gains exchange. They've got all this going. It's all working fine, right? Allison's an accountant. Jenny is a digital marketer. I've got that right? Got it all. Good. Yes. So got an accountant and a digital marketer. They both have the similar target market, and the similar target market is business owners who need their services. And let's say that they both target business owners that have about 10 staff or more, and that are in the Sydney area. Let's just make that up. It's not totally true, but let's go with that. Similar target market. So they find that out about each other. Now they're going to teach each other what their clients might be bragging about that would indicate they need their service. So Allison's doing a annual catch up with her accounting company. With her, as an accountant, she's talking to people about their planning, and they start bragging about the fact that their business has grown so much so that they're going to need to move into a new premises, and they're thinking about rebranding. That's a brag. Allison knows a digital marketer. She actually knows two, because she knows Indy as well. But she actually knows Jenny and Indy. And maybe Indy doesn't focus on that sort of thing, but Jenny does. So do you see what the bragging can indicate? Complaining. It's a national sport in Australia. I'd say it's an international sport everywhere. People like to complain.
Yeah, but we learn from the Poms.
The question that you should ask someone who's complaining about something first is, would you like a solution for that? Would you like a solution for that? And if they say, oh, no, don't worry about it. I just need to get that off my chest. I'm working with someone and it's all good. You don't drop it then necessarily. Perhaps you've got a relationship where you can dig a little bit more. But sometimes people are complaining just to complain. But if they say, oh my God, yeah, I'd love a solution for it. It's been tearing my hair out. Well, now you can make an introduction. But you need to know for your own company, what would people be planning, bragging, or complaining about that would indicate that they need your services? Have you ever written that out? I have. I've written out what people would be planning for that would indicate that they need strategic networking. What would they be bragging about that would indicate that they need strategic networking? And what would they be complaining about that would indicate they need strategic networking? Each of you could write, and it's only one A4. But the neat thing is, if you start with an A4 and you put planning, bragging, and complaining, and then you start to write a couple of ideas, and then over time, you realize there's another idea. People complain about this. You add that to your list. You add it to your list. You add it to your list. This is a document you can now share with your fellow one-to-one partners and talk to them about how they can find referrals for you. How can they find referrals for you? Listen out for this. Listen out for this. Listen out for this. And then you can teach them how to make the recommendation, how to make the introduction. What do you guys think about that? Yeah? Helpful? Highly recommend one A4 sheet of paper with those 3 titles on it: planning, bragging, and complaining, and using that, prepping it for your one-to-one partners. And you have to know them well first.
I was going to say, Wendy, it really does help you think through who your target market is, every aspect. Yeah, I think it's a great thing to do.
And no one will do this right away, you guys. I mean, part of my strategic networking training is that you have to trust.
It's a work in progress. It's a constant work in progress, right?
And you have to trust someone before you're going to care about all of the detail of their business. That's why the gains exchange comes first. And it is a work in progress. You need more tools. So when you think to yourself, Wendy, how could I possibly do an hour's worth of training every week in referral marketing? How can I do 1 hour of CEUs? I don't need 1 hour of CEUs every week. Well, if referral marketing is bringing in 40, 50, 60, 70% of your business, don't you want to know how to do it really well? Because You can start with the gains exchange, then you can get to this, then you can go to evaluate their client base, then you start to share appointments with them. And we have a really amazing system that just grows and grows and grows. The opportunity to sharpen your skills in referral marketing to get more efficient at it is very powerful. Anyway, so I wanted to review that with you guys. It's a great part of the culture of the one-to-ones. Your one-to-ones need to be business meetings. Of course, they start with the open networking part, just like our meetings do, where you're asking them if the weather's good or you're finding out how things are. But now you need to have purpose to your meeting. And the purpose for today, you know, Ed, I'd like to meet with you today. I'd really like to talk to you about what my clients would be planning, bragging, or complaining about so that you can send me some good referrals. Would that be a good purpose of today's meeting? I've written it out. I'm excited about it. I'd like to share it with you. And Ed would say, yeah, let me do that. Tell me more about it. And I'll do that. Okay.
Ed's not replying because he's eating. Wendy.
Yeah, but he's all good. I heard him. He looked at he looked at me. He gave me an eye. When we send you the summary of today, we are also going to send you Gains 2.0. Gains 2.0 was presented at last year's global conference by Simone Douglas, who is an executive director in South Australia. She was on the global stage and she presented Gains 2.0, which is exactly the same as Gains 1.0 that I just showed you, but with more stories. And the stories that we tell associated with the goals, the achievements, the interests, the networks, the skills, those stories help you to gain more emotion around the connections that we have with each other. So as I learn more about what Paul Hughes's business is, I can actually tell more stories about how he does that business. So we're going to send you that format that you can have a look at and explore. But if you just start with Gains 1.0, you'll be fine. You might be able to then look at the Gains 2.0 and think about how you might implement that. Andrew, do you have anything to add to that before we get to the next topic?
It's worth preparing. Spend the time preparing, going through it, and if you're not sure, ask for assistance. Right? It's by bit, you know, it's one of our core things: building the relationships and what have you, getting to know one another. If we naturally know one another, then we naturally have a great story to tell, and humans love stories. That's an easy takeaway for them. For some reason, stories is where they remember. So, yeah.
I love it. I also plan on doing some more training on Gains 2.0 in the future to kind of take in about 15 minutes to really go through it and explain it in a bit more detail. But just having the sheets is going to help you a bit. Okay, cool. All right. Take a deep breath in.
Can we stand up and turn around?
If you want to. I'm not gonna. And then out. I'm tired. I went to the gym after I went to Pittwater Professionals, and I haven't stopped since. Here we go. Okay, topic 6, the ask. All right. So let's talk about the presentations that we do. Are we getting what we asked for? And do we have the right people in the room? This is all about the ask. So let's talk about the referral request, really. And the first thing I want to do is we want to take you through a tool. So if you have a piece of paper, I need you to have a fresh sheet of paper, and I want you to use the little ray of sunshine. Now I'm going to send you the document that you can see here in the follow-up email. I'm going to send it to you. But do you see the 1 circle in the middle and the 8 circles surrounding it? I'd love you just to draw 1 circle and 8 circles surrounding it. All right, just to start things. And I want you each to do this. Alan's getting paper. He's gotten rid of the snake. Not forever, just for now. And we'll keep going. So the little ray of sunshine helps you uncover referrals and referral partners inside and outside of BNI. All right, so this tool has been used worldwide. So want you to use it and think about how you fill it out for yourself. in the middle circle, I want you to identify 3 ideal customers based on your triggers and your target markets. 3 ideal customers. And if you need to go, you might have made your circle too small, but that's all right. Just write the 3 there in the middle. Let's think about ideal customers. All right. So Lucienne, let's just as an example for you, because yours might be easy and it might be hard. 3. 1 is someone looking for a home.
Yep.
All right.
Mhm.
A business looking for a property to move into.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the 3rd one?
Well, I started with retirees and downsizers.
Downsizers. Great. Perfect.
As a more targeted purchasing
Yeah.
entity.
I love it.
Or first-time home buyers.
Perfect. So first-time home buyers, retirees, and maybe businesses that are moving premises or something.
Yep.
Like that. All right. You pick your 3, but that's an example. That's who she sells to. That's what I want you to write down. 3 different types of people or businesses that you sell to. Alan, for example, sells to governments, and he also sells to associations, and he also sells to businesses that want to do more marketing and podcasting. I made that up. He's going to write his own list. But all of you have 3. Now, if you can't think of 3, because you can only think of 20, I want you to just write down 3. And if you can only think of 2, then I challenge you that you probably could think of a 3rd one if you were given more time. All right. Identify your top 3. Now, instruction number 1 is long, because all we've done now is the second sentence. Now, alone and with others, brainstorm other professions who also do business with these prospects. Let's use Lucienne again, just for fun, just for an example. So Lucienne is a property lawyer, all right? And so she does conveyancing, property law. And so other people who target retirees.
Financial planners.
And financial planners do, yep. So we put them on an outside circle. So a financial planner goes on the outside circle. We'd also, who else would target retirees?
Buyer's agent.
Buyer's agents, absolutely, they want to help them. Yeah. Think even outside of the real estate sphere, who else would target retirees? Maybe go ahead, Mark.
Painter, interior designer, landscape designer.
Renovating.
Optometrist, I think I heard Lucienne say, didn't I? Optometrist, I was noticing someone today at this morning's meeting reading, and they kept moving away from their head. And I was going to say something, and I thought, Wendy, don't say anything. You don't need to. Yeah, optometrist. You need an optometrist in the Pittwater Professionals group. Guaranteed. You'll have about 14 referrals. Anyway, moving on. And it wasn't you, Lucienne, even though you mentioned your glasses. But so think about the people who would target retirees or target new home buyers or target the people who are moving businesses. Jenny a digital marketer might be one that targets the people who are moving premises, right? Because they're going to need all new stuff. And
This is an electrician would too.
Pardon?
An electrician.
Yeah. They're going to need an electrician to do all the cabling, get all their IT stuff set up. So what I want you to do is think about those 3 target markets and then try and fill in all 8 circles. And I'm going to put you into breakout rooms in order to figure out the circles. And then I'm going to tell you how to use it. So all you do is you put types of businesses in the circles. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, I want you to help each other fill in those circles. Tell your partner what you do, and tell your partner who you've already identified, and then brainstorm with each other who else could be on that list. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go to more, and I'm going to give you guys breakout rooms. And let's see, we have 15 participants. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, there we go. And I'm not going to do that.
I'm back
Voila.
home now if you need me to go into one too. I'm not in my
Excellent.
car.
I think I've got you there. You're ready to go. 5 minutes, you guys. See you in a minute.
They've all gone.
There we go.
Tick. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, well done, well done. Why is Ed in a room by himself?
Oh, I don't know. He should not be.
Let me move him to
5.
room.
I've got him in 5. Moved. Done. And I didn't put you in a room either. It says you've not joined, but I didn't put you in a room. Oh, now you're muted again.
That was very funny. as you were assigning, somehow I clicked on join when a window disappeared, and
I get that.
oh, dear. Very good. No, it's it's I don't understand why we only get, you know, a dozen people each week at this session. I really don't.
Well, I talked about it at Pittwater this morning, and I told him, I said, I am loving the content.
Yeah.
Loving it.
It's great content. And even for you know, we talk this stuff regularly, etc. So can I pause the recording?
Okay. I love it. All right. Now Alex is in the car. Boom, boom. Okay, don't crash. There's no crashing allowed. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope that was helpful. Let's get a tiny bit of feedback. Let's find out from Paul. Paul, how'd you do? You're muted though. I mute everybody on back.
Okay, there we go. Good. Obviously caught up with Alan. We just obviously spoke about our top 3 customers. There's obviously a little bit of overlap there, potentially in our businesses.
Yeah. And were you able to identify on the outer rings some of the other industries that actually use that have the same target market as you do?
Well, we're just getting to that, and then we got dropped back into this room again.
Don't
So
you hate running out of time?
We just missed out on that. We're on the right track, but no, didn't quite get that far. We're just basically the inner circle, really.
Okay.
And a bit about each other's businesses too, which is good.
All right, good. And let's see, did everybody at least get the 3 target markets done? Jenny, you didn't get the 3 target markets in the middle.
No, Alex didn't get a chance to share at the time, so we didn't quite have enough time.
Okay, but do you personally have the 3 in the middle? You know what the 3 in the middle are?
Yes.
Okay, and did you get anybody on the outside who has the same target market as you?
Yes, we realized in the room that all 3 of us actually there is some crossover between all 3 of us.
Oh, cool.
And it didn't need to be between the 3 of you. Okay, so
but it did.
If it
Just so
was,
happened.
if it was great, but we want to make sure. So yeah, bookkeepers would definitely have the same target market as you. Yeah, I could see that easily. And I could also see business coaches having the same target market as you. So we want business coaches on the outside of yours, and you have the 3 target markets in there. And with Alex, her 3 target markets might be slightly different, but she also might have bookkeepers on the outside, and so might you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. And so I want you to think about all of the different people. You might need more than 8 circles on the outside. You might find, oh, well, wait, I've got 12, I've got 15, I've got 20 people who actually have the same target market as me. They don't need to be in your contact sphere. don't need to be in real estate, don't need to be in professional services, don't need to be in trades. Who else has that target market? All right. Imagine that you've done that research and you've got your circle filled out. It's not doing anything yet. Watch this. Oh, click. You can grow your chapter by using this circle, because you can think about the professions that are in the outer circles that are not in your chapter. So as you fill in the outer circles and all of the different kinds of professions that target retirees, or all of the different kinds of professions that target people in the finance industry, or all the target markets that focus on people who run podcasts, all of those people, they should be in your chapter, but we don't know who they are yet. We just want to identify who's missing. And that's a good place for you to start when you're thinking about inviting visitors. You're going to invite visitors for the people who are on the outer ring of your little ray of sunshine, who also have the same target market as you, and you say, listen, we're targeting the same kind of people. It'd be really great to have you in the chapter, because my clients and your clients might be able to be referred back and forth to each other. Okay, a little bit of help. You can proactively invite them. Now, you can also grow your network. Share your sunshine chart with members during a one-to-one and ask if they have any connections. So you know how on the outside we've got professions on the outside? So let's say that I'm having a one-to-one with Brian, and Brian and I are having a one-to-one, and he sees that I'm interested in meeting people who are in, let me just think of a good one, LinkedIn specialists. I want to know some LinkedIn specialists. LinkedIn specialists have the same target market as me. And Brian sees that, and Brian says, well, I know a LinkedIn, I know someone who, that's what they do. They actually focus on that. He can now write a name there, and I can say, Brian, that's amazing. Can you introduce me to that person? Suggest that Brian invites that person to come to the chapter as a visitor. Maybe we already have a LinkedIn specialist in my chapter, but I want to meet lots of LinkedIn specialists because my target market is the same as theirs. So we're not inviting the LinkedIn specialist to join the chapter. Brian's inviting them to meet me. He's getting a visitor point. That person is getting to experience BNI. I'm getting to meet a potential client. It's all win-win-win. Yeah? So absolutely a good way to ask people, do you know anybody who does these things, whether they're in the chapter or not? So you're growing your chapter by using it to identify gaps. You're growing your network by asking people who meet with you in a one-to-one, do they know anybody who has these kind of roles? Andrew.
People get very scared about inviting somebody they don't know, or making a cold call, if you like, and saying, hey, would you like to come along? I'd like to buy you brekkie. Just scrapping all that for a second and pushing it aside. When you're leveraging the contacts through the Little Rose Sunshine, these are already warm or hot contacts, which make it much, much easier. So don't forget the value in that.
I love that, because I hate cold calling as well. And I don't believe that BNI is about cold calling.
No.
So that's why the Little Ray of Sunshine helps your fellow members identify people that they already know who you could meet. And it gives them a really good basis. They look all around all 8 circles and they say, oh, well, I actually know an electrician. You know, I know that Ed would have, he is a Sparky, but he's looking for Sparkies. That would be someone else who has the same target market as him. Your competitor might be someone you want to meet, because perhaps they could be a collaborator. Yeah, you never know. Mark, well, is a property lawyer, and so is Lucienne. They might want to know a lot of conveyancers, because when conveyancers can't do the job, they need to refer to a good property lawyer. When a property transaction gets complicated, so maybe Mark and Lucienne would both put conveyancers on the outer ring. And maybe when Lucienne is meeting with Haley, Haley says, actually, I know a couple of conveyancers. I'd be happy to introduce you. And then Lucienne can meet them and with a warm recommendation, say, listen, I just wanted to let you know, I think your business is great. If you ever need a property lawyer, I would love to be on your list. Now, how are you going to get to know, like, and trust them? That's up to you. But if you want their referrals when things get sticky, you're going to meet with them. Yeah. Do you see how the little ray of sunshine works for growing your network? Let me show you one last thing, because you can also grow your referrals. Share your sunshine chart with members during a one-to-one and ask if they have any connections to your target market, the middle section, the middle circle. So if you have 3 types of people listed there, describe them in more detail, give more information about them. It's fantastic to share the middle circle. So in my experience, I've seen people actually take the little ray of sunshine and photocopy it with no names on it, just categories of people, categories in the middle, categories on the outside. And then I've seen them use it as a worksheet during a one-to-one so that the person they're meeting with can actually write on it and say, I know this kind of person, there's their name. I know this person, there's their name. I know this person, there's their name. And what you could do is even give it to that person and say, listen, take this away. Please introduce me to these people. I'm not going to cold call them. You know them. Would you like to introduce them to me? I'd love it if you'd introduce them to me. Keep the worksheet. Maybe you could take a picture of it yourself so that you can remember what they wrote down and see it later. It's a fantastic tool and really powerful.
It's also a wonderful longer education moment for in a chapter. If you wanted to have a real chapter builder session and not have a member speaking one week, but put the time into doing this as a chapter, the value out of that is actually incredibly long lasting, and you can build your events from it.
Well, like I said, with the Gains 2.0, I'm definitely going to do a follow-up training about that. I'll also do a follow-up training on the little ray of sunshine so that you could take your entire chapter through that process. Because as you saw, 5 minutes isn't nearly enough. And understanding the little ray of sunshine takes a little bit of Q&A. And
also an extension of this too, Wendy, that you mentioned to me in the breakout, whereby your power teams, even a power team of 2 doing the little ray of sunshine is the ultimate share. And from there, it really builds as a power team, even more so.
I agree. Lucienne?
Did you share a picture of it previously?
Not really. Just up here. I'm going to send you. Oh, where is it going? There. Come on.
There it is. Whoop, back one. Plus one.
I'm going to share with you this document.
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
This document does cover all the points we just covered, and it also has copies.
That's okay. Okay. I didn't see that in the back behind the clipboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Very groovy. So thank you for going through that. I hope it was helpful, and I think that it will make your one-to-ones even more powerful when you're making referral requests, because that's what we're talking about. So we've got 21 minutes to go. We're on schedule. I promise we'll finish on time. We're going to take you through powerful weekly presentations. And I just would like to confirm with you, there are 2 presentations that you should prepare each and every week as a member. As a member. Anybody know what the 2 weekly presentations are? Mark?
Your weekly presentation, your 45 seconds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Depending on how many members, and your wraps, recaps, testimonials.
Beautiful. You're going to prepare both of those. We're going to give you a little bit of advice on both right now. So let's, and in fact, I'm not going to do the breakout rooms or we're probably not going to have time to do it the way I wanted to do it because I talk too much. I get excited about the little ray of sunshine. But there are 3 simple steps to grow your business by attracting customers you deserve. So I'd love to have you take 2 minutes to think of a company or a person who is already a great customer for you. Turn your little ray of sunshine over and use the back of the page to write this out. Just write down one company that you love. one person that you serve that you love, and if you could duplicate them over and over and over again, you would. You know, a company, Allison, you've been meeting with people over the last 6 weeks. Who's your favorite one? Best client, best person, only one. You're not trying to make a list of 3, you're only one. So now you've got them. Think about, where are they based? Or where do they live? Just kind of say, oh, well, they're local. That's fine. It doesn't need to be an address. What's their profession or their family status? So if your favorite client is a financial services company, write that down. If your favorite company is Jane from Avalon because she needed your services, write down Jane from Avalon, right? So that's all you've written down. What is the size of their business, or what is their household income? Maybe Jane is really well off. She lives in Avalon. She's got a view of the whole beach. You know, she can see everything. She's got a multi-million-dollar dwelling, right? Or maybe she lives in a flat off of the side road. You know, I don't know who your client is. You know who your client is. Think about what size their business is or what their household income is. Maybe the business that you're serving or the association has 3,000 members across the country. That would be a good thing to write down. All right. You're making it up, but you're making it up based on your favorite great customer. What are they planning, bragging, and complaining about? Why did they come to you? I needed your service because of this. What would they say if you asked them, why did you come to me? What were they planning, bragging, or complaining about? All right. This might take a little bit of thinking. And you did have 2 minutes to do it, but I'm going to keep going because you've been writing as I go. You've been writing as I go. So I'm going to just keep going. I'll send you a link to this presentation as well. Okay, so that you can do this yourself. So that's step 1. That's describing your target market. Step 2, what are the problems that you solve for your target customer? Take 3 minutes. So we're going to do this together. List at least 3 problems that your good customer has that are ideal for your business. Why were they ideal? What are 3 problems that they have? Time is usually one. They don't have enough time to do what they need to do. So write down time, you save them time. Expertise, they have no idea how to do what you do. I mean, I'm looking at all of you about the expertise. I'm just absolutely every single one of you I'm looking at for the expertise. All right. And what is another thing that makes them an ideal for your business? What's the worst thing that could happen to your customer if their problem isn't solved? What's the worst thing that could happen? Their business doesn't grow. Their dream house doesn't get achieved. They don't get to buy it because it falls through. Their business gets in trouble with the ATO because they didn't do things properly. They don't have the right structural components to their home. Or it takes 2 years to build a home that really shouldn't take 2 years to build. Or maybe they've got shoddy wiring in their house. Yeah. What is the best thing that can happen to your great clients once their problem is solved? And do you have a case study on it? Did you already achieve it, or are you still working with them? Like, I'm looking at Alex, business coach, right? As a business coach, what if you know, I know you've got case studies of people who have accomplished great changes in their revenues, great changes in their profits, great changes in their balance, their home life balance, and their happiness. So what's the best thing that can happen for all of you? All right. What is, sorry, go to the next one, Wendy. Do you have any evidence or client success stories to illustrate how you have helped this customer? What you now have, you guys, is the basis of step 3. Brad.
Just help from you and the team, please. So I have So I'm a leadership coach as opposed to a business coach. And so I have two targets. One is decision makers in businesses who decide to invest in their people. They may or may not be my customers, though. The customers ultimately might be the leaders in their teams. And so I'm just looking for a steer on distinguishing between the targeting of them.
Well, who's paying the bill?
Ultimately, the decision maker typically pays the bill, depends on the size of the company, but typically it's the,
Well, then I would focus on the decision maker then, the one who's paying the bill, because they're the one you have to sell to. So the worst thing that could happen if the leaders that they support don't get the leadership skills that you are able to give them. And what's the best thing that could happen if they do? If they start to collaborate and work well together and break down silos and have all the good things happen, it'll make that decision maker look like a hero, because their team is actually working as a leadership team. So I would focus on making the decision maker look good.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Because really you want a referral to the decision maker, don't you? And perhaps you get to the decision maker by going through a leader sometimes, but might be better to come up from this level. And the evidence in the client success stories are that's the testimonial you want. You want a testimonial from that leader, that business decision maker who says, oh my gosh, you're in that same situation. My team went through this and it was great. You should definitely invest in Brad's leadership coaching. Yeah. I hope that helps all of you, because now I'm going to go to step 3. I would like you, it's 5:17. Let's spend 5 minutes doing this. Write your next 30-second presentation. Write it right now. Here's how. Introduce yourself. My name is Wendy Lloyd Curley from Strategic Networking. I own the marketing strategic networking profession in BNI. I want to tell you a little bit of story about a client who came to me. She just did not like networking. She was absolutely afraid of doing it. She would go, but she would really struggle because she didn't like being pushy or salesy. What I was able to do is take her through a program where she understood who she was looking for and what she was doing. And what I would like to know from you is if you have any friends or family or coworkers who really struggle with feeling pushy when they go networking, because I'd like to show them a framework where they would start to feel more comfortable doing it. Once again, my name is Wendy. I'm from Strategic Networking. Thank you. Sit down. I want you to write yours. You got 5 minutes. It's now 5:18. At 5:23, you'll have your story and your referral request. Please notice I didn't use the word anyone ever in that presentation that I just did. Okay, you got 5 minutes. Go. All right, that was 5 minutes, believe it or not. Imagine if you spent 5 minutes just getting ready for each week. 5 minutes. One little story. Number 1, number 2, and number 5 don't change, right? All you have to do is write number 3 and number 4. So a brief story about a problem you solved and a referral request. I'd like to get one of you to do a presentation, just one. Brian will do it. Brian, I'd love it.
I'll unmute myself. Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Brian Wheeling from Barger Projects. We are the residential project managers of this group. We found an $80,000 saving on a contract in a job in Bilgola recently, before the contract was even signed with the builder, by doing an alternate design on the excavation. Do you know a contact who is ready to build or renovate that would like a saving of $80,000 with a design change that might be possible? I'm Brian Wheeling from Barger Projects, residential project manager.
Fantastic. Week after week after week, Brian can change his story, tell the truth, and build his reputation. You don't need to do a one-to-one in 30 seconds. You don't need to tell him everything. And it will be very effective with white space or you know, just space in the conversation. Not waiting for the bell to ring, getting the information out. I loved it, Brian. I hope it was a good example for all of you at how simple it can be. That was probably about 25 seconds. I wasn't timing it, but about 25.
In presidential, you need that 25 seconds because that's all you got.
Yeah.
You do. The bell goes quickly.
And you will accomplish what you want to if you plan it out each week. Look at number 3 and number 4 every week. You will make amazing strides. All right, Alex, I feel like you want to say something, and then I'm going to move to the next point. Do you?
Alex has been riding in the car.
Oh, good. Yeah, she's not driving anymore.
Oh no,
I'm
I
so
just
worried
trying to
about her
look at.
driving.
I just looking at the 5 element, taking a screenshot. That's
Oh,
why.
good girl. Well, I will send this presentation to you tomorrow, a link to it, so you'll all have it. All right, let's go to the next part. We're nearly done, you guys. So the clear message attracts the most customers. Be clear. Don't complicate it by talking too much about yourself. The first 2 points are fine. They'll know what you do and who you are. Focus on the problems you solve, because that's storytelling. And once you learn how to create them, you can use this skill anywhere. You know, it's really boring just to say, I'm a conveyancer. But if you say, I'm a conveyancer and this week I was able to do this, amazing storytelling, what you can do. So define your target market. What problems do you solve? Create a memorable presentation. Let's keep going so I can get through all the contact, because I do want you to know about impactful weekly I have presentations. You have to prepare these in order to make them impactful. And it's not this is the most important part of the meeting. That is what every president should say at the beginning of it. This is absolutely the most important part. It demonstrates that you guys don't just meet on the morning, but you actually work together all throughout the week. And it is so powerful for the visitors to see. And it's also really reinforcing for you on your decision to be a BNI member and to be part of your group. If the I have moments are weak, it will feel weak. It'll feel like you're giving, and not receiving. All right. So preparation is key. You want to talk about your referrals and make sure you've done your referrals. Don't talk about the referrals you've received. I did hear that a lot today, and I do hear that quite frequently. You thank people for closed business and acknowledge that. And of course, you thank them for the referrals in person, but you don't need to do it in the I have moment. You can do it in a one-to-one. You can do it in a conversation. You don't do it in the I have moment. You thank them for the closed business, but not for the referrals they've given you. What you do with the referrals you've given is you say, I have a referral for Ed. All right. And you actually say, I have a referral for Ed, the electrician, or Ed from right? So you make sure that you're talking about where they're from. And if you don't remember their business name, say Ed for electrical work, right? Or Brian for building management, or Lucienne for property law. If you say that, it's simple and you remind people. Of course, if you're making it up on the spot, you can't remember what they do or who they do it for, but if you actually have prepared it, you'll be ready. You also give testimonials, but you should prepare the testimonials well so that you aren't floundering. And you can't make them too long, because really the president needs to make sure that the meeting goes on time. So you might think, well, Wendy, it's the most important part, I'm going to make it longer. You still got to manage time well, and you'll develop a reputation for managing time well, and the president will trust you to actually be short and sharp and to the point. Okay. Also, my suggestion, write up all your testimonials and send them to the person. See you, Allison. And thank your visitors. These are the only 4 things you should mention during the I have moment, and you should always have them. And if you don't have anything to say, don't say, I don't have anything to say this week. Instead, give a testimonial about the chapter and BNI.
And don't rely on the app to be there ready for you to state in the I have part of the meeting, I've got my details, because 9 times out of 10, you won't have connectivity, or it'll be cleared at the time you go to refer to it. We see that a lot.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. I'm going to give you some ideas about how to have an effective showcase presentation. This is the 10-minute slot or the 7-minute slot, depending on your chapter. So this is just a little added advice. First of all, make the 10 minutes count. Use the introduction and the bio and interesting personal items. Let the treasurer talk about those. You don't need to spend time talking about that while the treasurer is doing it already. I often hear people repeat something that the treasurer has just said when the treasurer is introducing you. So there's no need to do that. You can focus more on your business than on the personal. So use that time, because it's not counted in your 10 minutes. And make sure your bio is up to date so that that information is adding value. You can coordinate to already have your slides of your pretty dog and your pretty snake and your pretty wife and your pretty husband. You can have all of that already ready so that that could already be on the screen while you're being introduced. Yeah, be smart about it. Topic ideas for you. The multiple streams of your weekly presentation. We've just gone through your weekly. Maybe you come up with 3 problems that people have and the way you solve them. That would be a great 10-minute presentation. An interview for a fellow member to conduct with you. That might be a really good way to do a presentation. Present an industry overview that positions you as the expert in the field. A lot of financial planners do this, some accountants do this, where you're explaining a big change in something that's happened. Create a short quiz to see how many members can get the right answers about your topic, and then again, demonstrate you as the expert. Use clients to attend and support your presentation with their journey. It's a very powerful way to do it, and you get people there, visitors in the room. My suggestion, and I learned this at a conference, was don't include Q&A. It shouldn't really be part of the presentation. And if you insist on inviting people for Q&A, you can make it a much more powerful presentation by not leaving that to the end. Instead, say something like this: before I finish, does anybody have any questions? And then if nobody does, you can then finish strong. But if you finish and then ask if anybody has any questions, you are now no longer controlling the strength of the end. You're not nailing the landing. And everybody knows that in gymnastics and swimming, it's the landing and the splash that matters, right? Well, in your presentation, it's the same. Ed.
Sorry, unmute. I was just going to say, we had that exact thing last week where we had a member who did an amazing presentation. And then at the end, she said, has anyone got any questions? And someone completely derailed her presentation, and it just ended on a complete nosedive.
Yeah. I suggest not doing
just say, if anyone has any questions, let's have a one-to-one.
I totally suggest not having a Q&A session because, again, in respect to the president, we don't have time. We haven't built in time for Q&A, and unless you've built it into your 10 minutes, you're actually eating into the president's time. So it's much better to either not do it or to do it very well and to leave enough time for it to still be in the 10 minutes. You guys, we are going to have homework this week. I'll send you this, but this is a podcast and it's an Ivan Meisner podcast. So it's super easy, super quick. You know, his are never longer than 15 minutes. That's the only homework for this week. Thank you so much for being here. We are 3 minutes over. I apologize for that. I'm going to stop the share and say, I'd love for you to think about the takeaway that you had from today. We don't have time to go through it. I'm not going to ask you for it, but what is your takeaway? Are you going to do something differently in your chapter? Remember, this is about your chapter culture. How have we added to that for you today? If you'd like to stay on and report that back to us right now, you can. If you need to leave, please, thank you very much for being here. Please encourage your fellow chapter members to watch the replay. All right, have a great day. I'll stick around in case you want to share your takeaways, but have a good one. Thanks, Tori.
Well done, all.
Great
Cheers.
job, Tori.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Anybody want to share a takeaway?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, incredible. Just
It was the most inspiring one, I think, of all. I don't know why, but
Oh, that's cool. Wonderful.
Yeah,
it,
best one ever.
touched on lots of points that I think we just need to be reminded. There's so much. There's an avalanche of stuff that we have to, like your golf swing. Every time you have a golf swing.
Great analogy, Lucian. Great analogy. Oh,
I
I'd say
don't know,
chef as well.
golfing does a lot of swearing in it.
I didn't swear once in this whole session so far. So
I'm actually like lightning when it comes to golf swings. I don't strike in the same place twice.
You know what? Me too. Anything to add, Alex or Ed?
Yes, I think what I would take away is had a conversation with our treasurer because he likes to have our introduction in the presentation. So he like us to talk about some things nobody else know about us every single time we walk up. And so I think so I think
prep the bio though, Alex. If you prepare the bio and give that to the treasurer, then you don't waste the time Q&A. They've actually got the information straight up and can run through it.
Yeah, the bio will be quite. So maybe I can suggest to have, like, I like Wendy's suggestion to have when I walk up, then I already have all my family photos. It's the exact the same every single time I do the presentation. Nothing changed there. I still have 2 children, still have the same husband.
But what I'm saying, Alex, and that's a good clarification. What I'm saying is the actual introduction doesn't count in your 10 minutes. So if is it Max? No, who's your treasurer? I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
Paul.
So if Paul is prepared, and it's up to you to prepare Paul, and it's up for Paul to prepare Paul. You have to have the content for him, and he has to have the content available. So what I do is I control that. I give Paul the content, usually. I usually say, here, Paul, this is how you can introduce me. And then while Paul's introducing me, I would have my family photos up there on the screen already. And while Paul's talking, I might point to them, you know, that there he is. There's the dog, there's the husband, there's the father, whatever. And he can go through that. And when Paul is done, he might say something that nobody knows about Alex is this, and he'll read what you've told him. And if you've prepared your work, then he can read it properly or prepare it properly. And then they hit go on the 10 minutes. And you can say, thank you so much for that great introduction. Introductions are recognition that you get to give yourself. So awesome. And it doesn't count in your 10 minutes, and it should give you credibility. It's a little bit about getting to know you, but it's also about building your credibility. So if you fill it in properly, you're going to get a good presentation, and it's going to make you look great in front of the visitors and the members. But the visitors are going to see, wow, Alex is an amazing member here. She invited me, and I'm so glad she did, because look at how great she is. Yeah, that's what we want out of the 10-minute presentation. We want to share and make it amazing.
Yeah, it's like writing a speaker introduction note to treasurer, and he just need to read it out. And when I come on, I just go straight to my topic.
That's exactly right. And it should take about 1 minute for the treasurer to introduce you. So you can't, and not at speed. Not make it good. Follow the bio. They'll love it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that.
Ed, Alan, anything else?
I was just going to say this. It was really great this week. We're like getting into it now. It's good. And those 2 exercises, they're about getting intentional about what you're doing in BNI. Like,
yeah,
I think so often people just kind of go, oh well, I'll just see what referrals come, and who am I networking with? Oh, the people in this room. Okay, but what you're really doing is going, who do I want to network with, and who can I get the most referrals, give the most referrals to? So you're actually being strategic about it, not just floating along.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you. I love that. That's part of the training that we did with the power team training too. Be intentional about your investment. Yeah. Alan?
So this has opened up some thoughts for me, as in, there's a lot to be put into a 1 minute. We get a 1 minute presentation, and there's lots of new business people in chapters, and maybe as a chapter we should be putting workshops on, and really coaching these people on how to stand up, rather than just it being repetitious, and they're building the experience that way. I know in our chapter we've got some great people that speak really well, and from my perspective, I encourage people to speak correctly in front of camera. So just helping them to reach those key points very quickly in their delivery, to make sure that they actually get them out.
That is exactly what the 3 to 5 minute weekly education element is for. And and all of us know, you can't do everything in 3 to 5 minutes. That's why we have the Diamond program. That's why we have MSP. That's why we have ongoing 1 hour of training each week that people can do and watch and participate in. And Ivan Meisner covers a lot of this stuff in so many different ways in his podcast. And the Australian Story podcast, you get these fantastic ideas from people. So that's why I love the fact that a lot of it is audible. You can hear a lot of the training that we have. But I'm so glad you said that, because participating in this and participating in the member success program and the advanced training, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, perfect.
That's what it's all about. Alex, one last thing, and then we'll stop the recording after that and let everybody go back to their day.
All right, so a quick one, because you talk about that 3 to 5 minutes mental training, or not the mental training, but the education training. What I learned from BNISNE this week is I find they are very strategic when they choose the topic to talk about in their education training. It feels like they are strategically choose the topic that is also benefit the visitors. And so it's like not just like educating us as a member, but also they choose the topic that would benefit. How do you network? How do you show up in a networking event to make the most out of this network? And so that we teach in BNI open standing and that kind of things. And so as a visitor, we actually get benefit as a visitor, not just the member. How do you invite visitors? How do you, convert visitors? And that makes visitors feel like, oh, I'm being converted here, being sold to something.
You're right. The education moment in best circumstances will help everybody who to benefit. I'm not afraid of talking about the way that we manage and treat visitors as members. I'm not afraid of that. I think the visitors actually appreciate that there's a flow. But I totally agree with you. And as much as the education can be about, for example, if we're trying to, as a group, have the visitor flow before, during, and after the meeting be improved, we can talk about it from an education coordinator perspective by saying something like, in our businesses, it's important that we have a good way of greeting our clients, a good way of serving them, and a good way of following up with them to make sure that they've got that. And it's the same in BNI. Just like a business, we need to make sure that we do this. So it's the way we position it that matters in order to still be able to do the training that we think might be necessary. Additionally, the membership committee could have the opportunity to say, listen, you guys, we need our visitor host team to go through the training again because we're not doing this right. And that can be done outside of the meeting without discussing it during the education minute.
Some chapters even forecast and schedule that we're going to have our meeting, and then we're actually going to come back 15 minutes after the meeting and have a further education chunk, right? A workshop, if you like. You can do that, right?
And the DNA team is happy to support that if you want some support. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in that case, the ambassadors or the directors can be there to support you because we have lots of presentations. And as you can see, we got lots of tools. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for your extra time. Thank you for those of you who are watching the recording and have made it to the end. Have a great day. See you next week. Can't wait.
Wendy,